Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tee to Green podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sylvester. And how many of you dream of being or have dreamt of being a professional golfer? I raise my hand. I still would love to be a professional golfer. I just think it would be amazing to be playing golf for a living, making lots of money with a chance to have a legacy in the game. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of luck. Well, there is somebody out here in Western New York that is going for it and has been professional for several years now, and he is continuing that pursuit. He, in the last couple of years, broke Ben Hogan's, actually last year, matter of fact, wrote about it at BuffaloSportsPage.com, broke Ben Hogan's course record at Brookfield Country Club in Clarence, New York, and his name is Billy Gaffney. Shot 62 that day, and he is trying to make it to the PGA Tour, and I had a chance to talk with him about where he's at now and just things that go into it. It's an interesting conversation about the money needed and sleeping in cars and all those things. So here's my conversation with Bill Gaffney. Well, Bill, I appreciate you joining me here, and I'm excited to talk to you again. I think the last time we spoke was, well, it wasn't really speaking. It was via text when you broke Ben Hogan's record at Brookfield Country Club, which, by the way, awesome display they have there right outside the pro shop with the framed scorecard. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights of my golfing career, especially, I could do it with my dad, and it was nice. So they got me the plaque, and there's a lot of people that come up to me and go, "Wow, I saw that plaque. That's awesome."
Well, I'll tell you what, it was one of the most read stories and shared stories at BuffaloSportsPage.com when we did it. I mean, gangbusters. So, yeah, when you do something better than Ben Hogan did, people take notice.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully a lot of people enjoy it, and I definitely got a lot of people coming up to me and talking to me about it and asking me what went on and what happened, and asked, why aren't you on the PGA Tour?
Well, let's talk about that, because that's the goal, right? Is to get to the PGA Tour, but there are steps along the way. But let's talk about where you're at in your career as a professional golfer today, and age-wise, how old are you now?
Yeah, I'm 25 now.
25 now. So, you're a cagey veteran for guys trying to make it. Although you're still young, I'm sure there are guys that you play with and compete with that have been on tour, have played in tour events, and are there trying to qualify along with you, right?
Yeah. There's it's not an easy process because even when you're there, you got to play well to keep your card. I played with a few guys that were in first stage of Q School last week, and they had their PGA Tour card before. So, you still, no matter whether you're trying to make it currently or you're out there, you still have to play well and maintain your game in order to stay there.
All right, so you mentioned Q School, and Q School now is to get to the web.com tour, correct? It's not
Correct.
PGA Tour anymore.
Correct.
You have to go through the web.com tour to earn your PGA Tour card. So talk to me about the stages you went through and how it went.
So you can actually gain status a couple different ways. A lot of guys will go to Q School. There's Q School for all PGA Tour sanctioned tours. You can go to PGA Tour or PGA Tour Latin America, which you can go there, and I believe if you finish in the top three on those tours, order of merit for the year, you get your web.com card. But to get your PGA Tour card, everything has to come from either the web.com or there's another way, but through the web.com, you go through a series of 4 qualifiers. There's a pre-qualifying to get into the qualifying stage. And then there's a first stage, second stage, final stage. Obviously, first stage, there's like 8 sites. There's thousands of guys trying to qualify. and then it keeps getting narrower and narrower as you get to final stage. Final stage, there's one site. There's, usually the back end of web.com tour players from the last year that didn't keep their card. And then there's all the current guys trying to get into the web.com.
All those ways to get in, or there's like a funnel at one point, but there are some other different ways. How did it go for you this year?
This year wasn't really as expected. I had my PGA Tour Canada card, so that allows you to skip the pre-qualifying stages of qualifying.
And that's a Mackenzie Tour, right? Mackenzie Tour.
The Mackenzie Tour,
yeah.
Yes. And so it gives you basically a pass for the pre-qualifying. So you get right in the first stage, and I got to first stage, and we were actually delayed for a few days because the course was underwater. But anyway, I shot 7 under. I made 20 birdies and 13 bogeys, and unfortunately, it was just too many bogeys to get through. So now it's basically you can go and do Monday qualifiers to get in events. But that's the second way that you can earn your card. You can Monday into an event, and you finish in the top 10, you get into the next week. So, if you keep finishing in the top 10 and Mondaying into events, the order of merit is based on money. So if you make enough money that year, even though you don't have status, you can't get into any events for that particular year, but you can actually make enough money to earn your card for the next year.
Right. Which is, it's hard to, Monday qualifying. I want you to speak to the Monday qualifiers. Because, I think of a TJ Vogel, I believe is the player. Did it 7 times.
Yep.
7 times last year on the PGA Tour. Remarkable. But that's where it ended for him because it's so difficult to do on a Monday, correct?
Right. I mean, Mondays you can get guys getting hot. Obviously there's good players there, but that is why that they want you to go through Q School, because it shows that you can play consistent over a series of tournaments spread out over a couple months. A Monday qualifier is, okay, who's hot today? A lot of the guys that are trying to play professional golf can go out there and shoot, 62, 63, 64 in a day and get into a tournament. But that doesn't mean that they're tournament ready. That doesn't mean they're ready to, play a full season. And so I believe the way that they've set up the web.com and set up the qualifying, it makes the players better when they eventually get there.
Right.
Because it's structured in a way that you definitely have to be ready and you have to be playing consistent enough to last out there.
Well, it does make sense to go through the week in and week out because, the tour, it's always exciting to have new guys come in, but the idea is to have guys be successful doing so.
Right.
And there's a certain process to it that needs to happen. And it's also, there are players who lose their card and go back to the web.com tour and to earn their card again. And those are also the great stories. So the qualifying school didn't happen for you this year. So what is the plan now for Bill Gaffney, the 25 years old, to continue professional golf and the aspirations of making it to the PGA Tour? What's the plan for this year?
A lot of people don't understand golf is very expensive to play. It's outrageous. You have travel fees, airfare, hotel,
caddy expense, right? Do you have a caddy expense?
Yeah, caddy expense in some tournaments. I try not to take a caddy. But, in PGA sanctioned events, most of the tournaments, you have to take a caddy You have to take a caddy in all the web events. You have to take a caddy on the weekends in all the PGA sanctioned events. So that gets expensive too. You know, a 5-6 day caddy cost is about $1,500. So it's very expensive. So my goal right now is trying to raise some money in order to play, and hopefully it can raise enough. I'm planning to go to Asia, the Asian tour, starting in December.
Okay. And is that something you have to qualify for? Do you have some status there from last season on the Canadian tour? What kind of status do you have in the Asian tour?
I have no status on the Asian tour now, but it's a 2-step qualifier. I was actually reading about it last night. It's 72 holes for the first stage, and then I think it said 90 holes for the second stage or something like that.
Okay.
I've never heard of a 5-round qualifier, but it's a 2-stage qualifier. It's all over in Asia. But I was talking to some veterans that I kind of mentor. Dave McKenzie, who plays on the senior tour now. He lived over in Asia from Australia, and we had some conversations, and he thought that the Asian tour would be good for me.
So the Asian tour was recommended for you by some people that went and played at it. What were some of the reasons why it was recommended to you?
Well, first of all, the money's really good over there. It's a lot like the European tour, which, as we know, there's good players playing over there. Tommy Fleetwood plays over there sometimes. Rory will play over there in off weeks. So that's a big reason. But the other reason is on a lot of these satellite tours, people say, "Oh, you're a professional golfer. You must have a lot of money." Yeah, it's funny. No, we don't have a lot of money. The expenses definitely outweigh the purses most of the time.
Sure.
And so it's very difficult. So if you can go somewhere where there happens to be a lot of money to profit, even though it's a little bit harder, you make a couple cuts here and there, you're able to pretty much sponsor your own year.
Right. Now, so it is, you mentioned the expense of it, and, it is expensive. You're living on the road for the most part, out of a suitcase, and, there are certain things at tournaments, they may accommodate you with a couple meals here and there, but, hotels, traveling, as you mentioned, flights, renting vehicles, all those sort of things. Are there players you share with, right? I mean, guys will share some expenses, right? Will you room with anybody?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you always try to find someone to room with, especially at these smaller events, because, the profit margin is so small. But, I can count plenty of times where I didn't have friends at the tournament, and I would just sleep in my car so that I just didn't have to pay for my hotel.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You get one of those SUVs. I used to have like an Equinox.
Yeah.
And you would just put all the seats down in the back and then just sleep next to your golf clubs.
Well, hey, you know what? You've got a warm shower meal waiting for you at the course, right? So don't have to worry about that. Where would you park?
Glorious.
Yeah, where would you park?
Just in the parking lot. Sometimes, like up in Canada, they close the gates at at some of the golf courses. So I know another buddy of mine. He would sleep in Tim Hortons parking lot, so he could go to the bathroom whenever he needed to, or go in and get coffee in the morning if he woke up too early.
Wow. And you guys aren't the first to do that. That's for sure. There are there's stars in the PGA Tour that essentially did that while they're trying to make it. Professional golf and the professional golf ranks. So let's go back to the money portion. You say you're trying to raise money. So how are you raising money to fund this? Is it friends, family, all the above? You going to businesses? Do you have sponsors? What do you have?
I had a sponsor down in Houston. We worked together for a little while, and I realized that I needed to raise more capital. So I have a friend who's a sports agent, and he wrote me up a contract. So I first started with a couple of friends of the family, guys that I play with on the weekends, things like that. And I got a few guys, and then I just happened to play well in front of the right people. And I got how I set it up is I just tried to get $5,000 from like 10 guys for a year. It costs roughly about I budgeted for 48,000. I think that's a little bit more than I need, but it's better to have more than enough than not enough.
Right. Stuff happens.
So yeah, stuff happens, and you get stuck places, and you need to. Sometimes you don't know if you get to an event until like 2 days before, so you have to get a last minute flight that costs way extra. But anyway, yeah, I just with golf sponsorships, you kind of want to make sure you have a good group of people, people who know how difficult it is, and people who are just going to let you go do your thing. It's too many times where sponsors just want too much control. So I've been very selective about the people that I want, even though I need the money. But I was lucky. I have 7 or 8 guys right now. I could use 2 more, and just looking forward to getting on with the process. I definitely don't think I definitely wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I could be on the PGA Tour. There's guys that believe in me, and I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'll do this at the end again, but so if someone listening right now says, you know what, I want to invest $5,000.
Right.
I'll sponsor you for $5,000. I don't know if investment's the right way to put it, but they're investing in you. So I will phrase it that way. How do they? I don't want to give out your phone number on this, but they can email. They can email me. There's a link on my website where this is played, and I'll get them in touch with you. Does that be fine?
Yeah, that'd be great. And I also set up another contract. As far as if there's a business with marketing expenses who do like worldwide sales or are looking for people to recognize their brand. I also have logo spots on my shirt, bag, hats, things like that, and they can do that straight out of their marketing budget, and it's an immediate tax write-off as well.
Sure, right. Well, and hey. You make it on TV, boom, there you go. The payoff's right there. So what is not to get too detailed in the specifics of a contract, but a sponsor and like Zach Johnson is famous for doing this, right? I mean, at his club, the members pitched in to sponsor him to make it, and I believe he had to pay him back X amount. Is that how it's working?
Right. It's like your normal. It's like in your normal investment. Unfortunately, you don't make it, they don't make it. But the goal is to make enough money, obviously, to pay them back and more. And so I structured it as, I'm getting the amount of money to work for the year. It's basically like my salary, $50,000. So I use 80% of my tournament earnings go back to the sponsors until they make a large percentage of their money back. And then it moves down a tier, and then, until they make all their money back, they get 60% of all tournament winnings.
Gotcha.
And then opposite that, there's an amount that we've agreed upon that we split it the opposite way until they make a percentage on their initial investment.
Sounds fair. I mean, they're funding your efforts to make it. They're both people get rewarded by making it. Sounds fair.
Exactly. It's essentially a startup business for people who don't understand golf. Set up a DPA. You're basically investing in a startup company that needs to build revenue the next couple of years.
All right, let's talk about coaching and how you work on your game. And I know your dad's a heck of a golfer, and so who's coaching you?
I work with a guy out of Houston, Texas. His name is Duran Meeks. He has really changed my game over the last couple of years. To be 100% honest, I have no idea why he took me under his wing. He says it's because I just said the right thing, that I looked like I needed help. I was going to quit golf, a year into the program. I just wasn't getting any better, wasn't making money. And, he really took me under his wing and, changed a lot of things that needed to get changed and built my confidence. He actually, invited me to live with him. And I stayed with him for weeks at a time, and we would work every day. And, I owe that guy a lot.
So what did he change in your game?
Well, when I got down there, fundamentally, I was really good. I worked with Gary Battistoni growing up, and he did a really good job. But being separated from a coach in this area while I'm down in the South, it's not conducive to getting better. I needed someone that I could see every day.
Right.
So,
and Gary's a fantastic teacher. Gary, taught me how to be a single-digit handicapper. So, basically took a baseball swing and made it a golf swing. And I love Gary. So, anyway, keep going.
Absolutely. And so we changed, a lot of things that you wouldn't see in someone's golf swing. It was all stuff that had to be discovered by technology. And I was never a technology person. And in growing up working with Gary, he's not a technology person either. So when you get on all these funky machines and things like that give you, weight shift patterns, ratios and all this stuff, I was all lost. But my coach knew exactly what he was talking about and knew how to relay the information to me, even though that wasn't my expertise. I didn't know what I was looking for. And, my weight shift was completely off. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it wasn't consistent, and it was not effective for what I was trying to do. So we changed that at first, and it changed a lot of dynamics in my swing. It took probably a solid 3 to 6 months to get all the changes that we made and make them tournament ready. And, I've been at that for about a year and 2 or 3 months now. And I'm just in the last 3 months understanding how to put it into play. So it was a pretty significant change.
Yeah.
To some people it's like, oh, well, you just, stood a different way. But, when you're used to doing the same thing over and over and over again, 10,000 times a week, it's very difficult to change.
Oh, I bet. What about the mental part? Does he help you with that, or do you work with somebody else, or has going through the rigors of trying to make it for a few years changed your mental outlook on this?
Yeah, that was actually the biggest change that I've made. And he started that. He basically told me that, I had to be more, I don't know how to explain it, but I needed to be more callous. I needed to to just go to tournaments and try to win. There was no going to make money anymore. You were going to beat everyone there, and that's all you're there for. And, he generally wasn't the guy that, would give positive feedback. But he did it in a way that made me realize that, hey, like I have the ability. He would say, I wouldn't be teaching you for free if I didn't think you could make it. So let's get a move on here. And so it would, in the back of my mind, it really, really helped. So, and on top of that, I knew that I needed to revolutionize my mental game because, I knew that there was guys out there that I should be beating, and how are these guys getting the ball in the hole more efficiently than I am, and I hit the ball better than they do. So I relied on a lot of my own research as well. I read a lot of psychology books and tried to figure out ways that other professional golfers like Jack and Mark O'Meara and guys who had gotten slumps in their career, I tried to figure out how they got out of slumps. And that really helped. A lot of people don't want to take the time to read those books, but that was very helpful. And then I took a lot of those facts, information, and triumphs and brought them to a lady, Corinne Matthews, who is a sports, I would say, a sports mental coach, but she specializes in hypnosis. And we took a lot of that information and put it into a hypnosis session so that I could train my subconscious mind to do all this by itself. And, she's here in Buffalo, and she was great. She helped me a bunch, and that's probably one of the reasons that I'm successful, was I was able to get out of my own way and just program myself rather than kind of rely on me reading and trying to do all this stuff every day.
I like the theory of, hey, go out there to win the tournament, right? You're not there to make a check. You're there to win. And, frankly, I see most of, when I work a PGA Tour event for PGA Radio, I see most players, it's just go. It's the foot down all the way. They know they're going to hit a bad tee shot here or there, and then they just go and play it. It's a different way of playing golf, isn't it? It's just go, and if it works, you're going to be successful, and there's going to be weeks where it's not going to work.
Yeah. The most important thing that I've learned is, there's a process to every shot. There's a pre-shot routine. You're training your brain, basically what you want the outcome to be. And once you get over the ball, you really just need to just trust it. And the guys that can trust what they have, even though it might not be the most efficient, that's what works. And, I always go back to a quote by Mr. Ford. If you think you can't do something, you can't.
That's right.
I mean, if that's the biggest thing. If you think you can do something, you can do it. If you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, I always looked at it, and it's just, even as an amateur hack, when I'm playing, I'm like, well, if I don't think I'm going to make it, I'm not going to make it. I just have no shot. But if I think I can make it, then I got a shot at making it. And hit the stroke, hit the shot that you intend to hit. Sometimes you hit good shots and it doesn't work out. That's golf, right? That's the way it works.
Absolutely. And the last book I read by Bob Rotella, it explains how golf is a game. there's no game in this world that's meant to be perfect. You know, you're playing the game. So all this other, these other external factors that are coming in, like the guys in your group, the wind, all this other stuff, it's basically irrelevant. You're just trying to play the game. You're trying to get the ball in the hole in the least amount of shots. And if you happen to have the least amount of shots that week, you win. You know, you're not necessarily playing the guys in your group because you can't control what they do. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. A lot of people are, you know, worried about the guy that they're playing against. You know, whereas since they're a professional golfer, they obviously think they're better than him. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So if they just stuck to their game plan and played their game, they have a better chance at winning rather than just trying to force themselves to beat the guy they're playing with.
That's right, because you don't know what everybody else is doing. You can only control
Absolutely.
what you can control. All right, so let me final thing, and because I think of a guy like John Peterson, who gave him you know who John is, and gave himself X amount of time to earn money this past year on his medical exemption, or he was done. I think he'll try. I think he'll try to be back once he gets in real working world. Not that you guys aren't real workers, but you get to play golf for a living. That's more fun. Right. So, what time frame have you given yourself on this? And I'm going to say since you've reset things, because it sounds like it's been a reset for you mentally and with your game physically, and going to the Asian tour. So. What is the time frame that you've given yourself to accomplish this?
Well, I hope my fiance doesn't listen to this. So I'm engaged, but besides the fact, originally I gave myself until we got married, and that was back when I was not playing well. We're getting married in 2020, and I'm going to give myself until I'm 30 to not make the PGA Tour, but establish myself as a touring professional. If I have web.com status, people don't realize how close that is to being on the PGA Tour. I mean, it is like a shot around. So the chances of someone finding that shot around are if you progress every year, you're going to get there. So my feeling is if I progress as much as I did from last year to this year, I'll be on the PGA Tour. But, it takes time, and it does take a considerable amount of luck. You got to play well at the right times.
I think it's great. I think that's a normal time frame. I'm not your fiance, so I'm not sure what she thinks of it. But is she going to Asia with you?
She is not. She has a tough job. She works at Akron Children's Hospital, and she's also getting her master's right now. So she does pediatric oncology. So
wow.
she's got a really she loves her job, and she loves the kids. So I wouldn't expect her to pick that up and leave. So
that's important work she's doing. Very, very important work she's doing.
Yeah, it is. There's not a lot of people who want to do that, and she loves it. And she's going to continue her education and help the kids out more. So I support that more than I support my golf at times. That's hard. My best friend passed away from cancer, and I feel for those families and things like that. So, a big goal of mine is to make enough money out there so I can give back to kids like that.
Well, awesome goal. I think I speak for all golfers in Western New York, all people in Western New York. We'd love to see another Western New Yorker on the PGA Tour. So best of luck in Asia. Best of luck in the pursuits, and we'll catch up with you down the road.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
It was great to catch up with Billy Gaffney again, and obviously, as I did there, I wish him a ton of luck. It would be great to have another Western New Yorker make it to the PGA Tour. A la Dudley Hart, Jeff Sluman, Just those two come to mind. Of Rochester area. Don Bazzelli, also out of Rochester. And then there's, several others. Joey Sindelar, Mike Hulbert, also made it. All those guys in that same era down there. So it'd be great to have another wave make it on the PGA Tour. Hey, as he mentioned, if someone out there listening would like to support, sponsor, invest, you can send an email from the t2green.golf website to me. The contact information's on there. It's t2green.golf is the website. If you're listening to this other than from the t2green.golf website, send me an email on there. Go on the contact thing, and I'll put you in touch with Billy Gaffney or get you in touch with him. So that'd be great of you to do. And we'll certainly follow his career along here with the T2Green radio show and here, of course, on T2Green podcast and t2green.golf. Thanks for listening.